Okay, the intent of this course is to be an introductory, foundational, things that will get you started and give you a good basis in design with SolidWorks. The second purpose is that if you are interested in taking the CSWA exam, the Certified SolidWorks Associate exam, these exercises are created by SolidWorks and are representative. Some of them are a little more difficult than I think should be on an associate, but they are all have good basic practical experience associated to them, so that you can be prepared to take the associate exam. So if you haven't gone to the solidworks.com/media /SWA exam practice problems, please do so, and you will download the PDF. All right, and that's going to give you what 10 sections with about 10 problems each. Looking at this, the ones that I've done in previous semesters, using this as an example, kind of building up towards this, my volume is always just a little bit off, and I let it annoy me. I'm not concerned so much about volumes. If we all get close, if we go through the design and we get close to the volume, usually the center of mass, the total mass given a certain material, those are what we're going to try to focus on. All right, so looking at their description, things I'm interested in, yes, we want to be millimeters, grams, and seconds. These are going to go from difficult level easy up to moderate up to hard. And the certification level, I'm not worried about duration at this point. If you are preparing for the exam, maybe you come back and you try to do these as fast as you can. But for our learning, for our beginner getting into SolidWorks, we have a lot to discuss about sketching and relations and creating solids with extrusions and cut extrusions um, and revolves. We're going to use all of those tools, and so the duration is not so much as creating valid geometry. If you want to try different ways of getting to the end model, I'm fine with that. Experimentation, if you see something different, a lot of times I'm trying to put it into the context of these are the tools that we need to start with. And then if I was doing this as fast as I possibly could in the 5-minute time frame, I would probably pick a completely different strategy. For our purposes, we have two goals in that: giving you the good foundation, and then secondary, preparing you for the CSWA. So the design intent, origin is located in the corner, so they're always going to be looking at where it starts, because if we do a center of mass, that's going to be based off of that origin, and we would like to identify that first. The part is symmetric, which I'm not sure what they're symmetric about, but okay, let's go with that. And all sketches are to be fully defined. So we'll discuss being fully defined in the software. All right, so suggested sketch tools: lines, rectangles, circles, and we're going to use the extrude boss. So what I see, and looking at this, it's not an overly complex shape. There's nothing that jumps out at me as being a trick or a trap. The stair steps, the base, and because the origin, and Adobe's going to annoy me if they keep doing that, the origin being at the bottom, our extrusion, we're going to start drawing this geometry on the front plane and extrude it towards us. And then either on the front plane or from the back of the part, we'll draw this geometry and extrude it towards us. All right, so we're looking at starting our decision tree of Since the origin happens to be there, that is a convenient piece of geometry to start creating from. The adding the second segment is not a big deal. A decision that we'll have to make is, do we want to include the through hole in the sketch or add it as a separate feature? So we're always doing these combinations of a base feature, adding something to it, taking something away from it. As we add and remove geometry, sometimes those decisions are good, and sometimes we file them away for later, not to do it that way or modify it to fit whatever we're working on. All right, so if you haven't watched the first time starting SolidWorks first time, I would recommend you go do that because now I have set up for my my maker. This is a part millimeter, and we're going to verify a few things when I select on this. So if you are in the education, this is my first time looking at the any advantages, limitations of the maker version. The the education and the commercial versions are going to look almost the same. There are a few things because of the cloud connection with the 3D experience that you may not see on yours. So first, you don't have to sign in unless you are in the online version or in the of the 3D experience or the maker version. And just kind of looking through. We are in millimeters, grams, and seconds, so I'm going to try to look down in that bottom right corner and just say, yeah, we're in millimeters, that's good. I turned on the origin. It is in blue, so our first visual clue that we are not in a sketch, but we are in a part ready to do something is that blue origin. Whenever I see this, I'm thinking the short leg is horizontal, the long leg is vertical. Saying X plus, Y plus, those don't have the same connotation, the same emphasis here so much as we're putting this into our relations of I want to be prepared for horizontal, I want to be prepared for vertical. So if we are in the Sketch tab, and we will start off with the Sketch tab, but I'm very quickly going to move to right mouse button because that is going to be the fast, and that is where I want you to move to quickest. But to get started understanding the process, we have the Sketch. If you like doing the pull downs, just be aware you want to make sure that you're selecting Sketch and not 3D Sketch because that's an entirely different monster. All right, so we can just click on Sketch and it's going to come up with the planes and say, where do you want to sketch? And we're going to go into the front sketch. All right, so back in the options, it is set to rotate normal to the front plane so that we can create our sketch. And the origin turns to red, and again, horizontal, vertical. Also, we're seeing some numbers fly across as position, but I'm not really paying attention to those. Our current status is editing a sketch and editing sketch 1, and then the sketch is underdefined. Our goal is to get all of the geometry from blue to black and make it so that it doesn't move accidentally, whether it was moved accidentally on purpose or just something clicked and moved. We don't want there are no happy accidents here. So we want to see that say fully defined, and if there is a change to geometry, it is a conscious change. It requires that you select a number or select a dimension and change the number. All right, so drawing that bottom block of geometry. I'm going to start with the lines, but realize that you can do a rectangle. So in our line geometry, as we highlight, you're going to notice that it says line in parentheses is L. That's your keyboard shortcut. If you like using the shortcuts, and I'll migrate into a few of them, but I'll try not to do it because I very often forget to mention that I am doing it, and then it creates confusion in the video. So we can do a corner rectangle, But I want to introduce the relations first, so we're going to do this with just the lines, and my decision on the whole is to be able to illustrate the extruded cut. So we'll go with just creating the rectangle. All right, so as we move around, the property manager comes up as soon as we go into the command. As sketch, we can lock it into horizontal, vertical at an angle, for construction, infinite length, midpoint line. Those are all useful, not necessarily here, but they will be useful to us as we get further into geometry. All right, so inference lines. So what I'm looking at on the screen is that we have a kind of a white box around the little, and I can't really move the mouse. So looking at the cursor, it shifts to the pencil. It's showing me the line, and the little horizontal line is kind of in a white box, and the blue dotted line is telling me that I am I'm along the same line as the origin. As I move that around, that icon's going to shift to vertical, and when I move directly to the origin, I'm going to see it go yellow. Yellow tells me that it is going to apply that relation for me. So your options are to click, click, or to click, drag, and I'll try to switch back and forth. So this first one, I'm going to click, click, because I want to go all the way around the rectangle. Most of the time, I'm a click, drag. All right, so what I mean by that is I'm going to click on the origin, and then as I drag out, it's going to start the line, and we're looking for those inferences. Again, the yellow is now highlighted on horizontal. If we go up, the yellow is highlighted, and it's giving me approximate length. I'm not going to worry about that too much. If it was like, oh, I'm way out here, I don't need to be that long. Okay, I'm gonna draw it back in a little bit. So it doesn't really matter which way we go around the rectangle, but I'm gonna go 30-ish, and then 60-ish, and I'm looking for that inference line because it's going to help me apply all of those relations on the first go around. All right, so I can either right click and go back to select, or we'll hit escape on the keyboard. So we'll try to stay with those two. So what I'm looking at on the screen now is that we have, can't really tell that in over the origin, but that being coincident, that is a black dot, black line, blue dot, blue line, blue dot, blue line, blue dot. That means those are able to move. If I left click and hold down on the points, then I have a rubber band kind of scenario. If I grab onto the object, the line, it's going to move in that direction just like grabbing the point. So as you're starting to observe these, I believe the sketch relations are off. So let's go ahead and turn those back on temporarily, because that is the default. If you've just installed SolidWorks, you're probably looking at something like this. So it is telling me that I have a coincident, I have a vertical, I have a horizontal, the vertical, the horizontal. Those were all applied automatically because of those little yellow boxes. All right, if I miss, and we'll miss plenty in the course of the class, if I miss, I'm going to pick one of those lines and tell it that it's horizontal or vertical. All right, so we have about, I think, somewhere in the range of 20 relations, and depending on the geometry, whether it's an arc, a circle, line geometry, splines, there are different things that we can apply, and it will go through different combinations on the add relations as we go. I will probably slip into the right mouse button at some point, so the right mouse button context is going to have horizontal and vertical in it. Please do not fix. Fix drives me crazy. Fix will drive you crazy because often it creates red and yellow cannot solve, does not like, does not compute. All right, so going into the smart dimension, what makes this a smart dimension is based on what we select, we're going to get we're going to get our dimensions. So picking a line and dragging the extension out, placing the dimension. Again, this is the isometric version, so it goes vertical along the line or along the extension line. And when I place it, make sure that you place it, then it's going to automatically go into the modify box. And the modify is going to allow me to put in 30 and then hit enter. All right, if I need to change that, I'm going to just double click, hover over the dimension, double click, and then we can change that, that value. All right, my recommendation is that you go for objects over points, but if you're used to AutoCAD, Inventor, Fusion, a lot of times they go point to point, and it's okay to go point to point. Just realize that there are certain instances where point to point will allow geometry to orbit. And I don't have a good example of that right now other than these points can move around each other and they will stay 30 apart, but they don't have, if they don't have the necessary relations, it can be kind of confusing as to what you're looking at. So let's do an example. We pick the object. I can go between two objects, and we're going to place the dimension, enter the value, and when I hit enter, now I have that value. All right, so the little green boxes are already annoying me, so I'm going to go ahead back into the view, come down to the view sketch relations and turn those off. The reason that I don't need those showing all of the time, and let me hit escape so that I get out of the dimension, is that when I pick on a piece of geometry, an object or a point, if there are relations associated to it, that little green box is going to come back for me. The other thing of note, I think that my selection, because the blue doesn't always show up as well, I do believe that I changed my selection to the magenta so that it pops out a little better on the screen. And then the other thing of note, you are probably looking at black dimensions, which is because I have turned off in my sketch to, I think it's in the sketch. Well, there is one that says mark all for the drawing. So I'm not seeing that. May have to come back to that one. Okay, so I've changed mine to, I've unchecked mark for drawing because it's kind of counterintuitive to me that if you mark everything for the drawing, then there's nothing really special about the ones that you do need to mark as a highlight. All right, so I'll come back to that one. All right, so our depth is 28. Let's review the model real quick. And it's going to be a little hard to navigate if it's, all right, well, we're going to get all of the Windows 11. All right, so 28 deep, and then we'll worry about putting the hole through. So I don't have to do anything. There is a right mouse button, but let's go feature that we can go to the extruded boss base. But let's go back to the features tab, and then when I go into the extrude, if this is a closed area, then it's going to show me that it is able to extrude. You can drag the arrow, but I don't really try to go to numbers that close. I can drag it to 28, but most of the time I'm just going to come over here, type in 28, hit enter on the keyboard and hit OK. I'm done. All right, so we need a circle. All right, the sketch, I could draw from that side. I could pick the front plane. I can hold down the middle mouse wheel and rotate. If I can't see it or can't see it very well, I'm going to use the scroll wheel to zoom in and out. Those are all things that you're going to get used to as you use the software. So perceptually, and this is a big point, is you want to make sure that what you're looking at on the example and in the model matches what's going on in your head. So we have on our keyboard, I am going to use the Control 7 to go to isometric, but if you prefer the graphic, we can hit the space bar. And I have turned off the cube, so we'll turn the cube on in a minute. But let's see, I'm losing some of those, so let's go back here. So these are our control buttons. Isometric was control 7, but front, control 1, back control 2, left control 3, right control 4, top control 5, bottom control 6, and we just did ISO control and 7. Control 8 is if I select a face and I hit control 8, doesn't matter where it is, it's going to rotate into that view. All right, so at this point I'm ready to sketch. I have pre-selected the face. It's lit up in blue. And if I open up the sketch, it's not going to ask me. It's going to put that sketch on the selection. All right, so for a circle, I'm going to go with the click, click again. So click and then drag the circle out and click. For our smart dimension then, we're going to pick the perimeter, and we have a diameter of 12. Circles are automatically going to get diameters. Arcs are automatically going to get radiuses. And we will be able to mix and match those if we need to. From the base to the first, and you can go to the point, but again, I like big targets. That's fine line between lazy and efficient. That the circle is going to be easier, and it also gives me a min-max condition that the point does not. So we are 16. I made my selection. It puts me into the dimension. I place the dimension somewhere where it's readable. I type in the number and we get our 16. From the right side, picking the edge to the perimeter of the circle, drag it somewhere where you like and can see it, and we'll go 16. All right, so we are going to remove material. And the feature is going to be an extruded cut. All right, so the cut, I don't want to think about the 28. I can do the 28, and if I need to see it a little bit better, I can hold down the middle scroll wheel, drag it around. But the problem with the 28, our design intent is only as good as the next design review and the next change of, oh, we need a little bit bigger, we need a little bit smaller. So rather than placing a hard dimension in there, let's just tell it to go through all. Through all says if there were 10 of these lined up, it would find all of them and go through each one. Up to next would stop at the very next surface. So in this case, we're only doing through all, and that's going to give me the bore geometry. All right, now on the step, probably going to need to turn that off for to be able to navigate. For the step, we have some strange dimensions. We have an overall from the bottom, and then 20 to the first, 12 back, all right, and then 20, 20, and 12, and 12. So we're going to follow their dimensions. The problem is going to be that I really want to draw that on the back, but I want to see it from the front. So I need to go ahead and open up that sketch. I've rotated over. My origin again is in the bottom left corner. And we're going to make sure that that's highlighted. I slipped into, actually I don't even think I hit the right mouse button on that. Let's check. All right, so you're going to see the end context pop up automatically. I do have a habit of hitting the right mouse button though and getting the full context. I can go into sketch right here, or we can go back over to our command manager and go into sketch. Now we're sketching on technically the back, and I have to realize that my stair step goes this way, but visually I can go back to the front. Well, I can change the view to the front, and I will have something a little more that makes a little more sense in the geometry. So all of this is 20 millimeters deep, so I don't have to do anything strange. Do watch out for the midpoint. My combination of yellow boxes is telling me I'm at the midpoint of that line, and that I have it at horizontal. And if I bring it back, then I am coincident. And I did a click drag that time. So I slipped into click drag, and I'm click dragging. The advantage of click drag is it stops after each object, and I'm looking for that inference line. So I have horizontal, I'm above the starting point, and that puts me back. Do I care that it doesn't look exactly like what was going on in the example? Not really, because as we add the dimensions and we build this out, it's going to come into shape. So as long as something in this view is projectable into the sketch, I'm going to be able to select it for a dimension. And so I've selected the bottom edge and the very top line object, and that is going to be 75. All right, so by process of elimination, I'm going to go to the next, and you can tell a little bit from the way that it highlighted that that is the top of the feature where that is the sketched line. And sometimes those won't be apparent, and sometimes they just don't matter. But again, it's throwing visual clues as you go, and we're going to continue to select and place and add dimensions. All right, and then so we had the 20, we have the 12. I'm using the scroll wheel to zoom around a little bit, and we'll go to the top, select the object, place the dimension, and enter the value. All right, and then our next, even though it's kind of rotated there. All right, so there I selected a midpoint. It jumped right out at me and I got it. All right, so I need to hit the escape button to get out of the midpoint. I am still in the dimension because my icon is showing me, my cursor icon is showing me the smart dimension, and then I will move a little bit away from that midpoint so that I can make the sketch. Or select the object, place the dimension, and enter the value. So that one becomes 12, and everything but the last. So let's do one of my favorite diagnostic tools. Is I'm looking at this and wow, this should really be fully defined. So I grab something and I drag it. Oh, that's moving like it's supposed to. What am I missing? The last dimension from there to there. All right, from the sketch object to the feature edge, and that becomes 12 as well. All right, so what's happened is my status has gone fully defined. Nothing in this can be moved without, by accident. You have to enter a value and say that's now 25, and then everything adjusts accordingly. Sometimes it adjusts very poorly, and we could hit the Control Z and undo the change. Control Z as an undo is a lot of times is your best friend, and so we want to remember that this is a fluid, this is an evolving process that very few things designing without existing geometry. Very few things are the same at the same time. All right, so shaded contours and regions. If I turn that on, it shows me that this is closed. There are two conditions where this line may be extended past, leaving a little tail, or a little bit foreshortened and leaving a gap. Those are common conditions. I think I picked on it. I hope I picked on it. But then if it doesn't highlight in the shaded contour, then it has some issue with the geometry and probably won't extrude as well as we would expect. So we can turn that on, we can turn it off. I don't remember if if there's one in here. No. All right. So if it's not on your sketch or the shaded sketch contours are not on your command manager, we will go through the process of adding those later. Okay, so features, we are back to an extruded boss base. The depth is 20,
So we type in 20, hit enter, and notice that it flipped around and it is going the wrong way. Almost every feature, every piece of geometry has two solutions, the one moving away from it and the one moving towards. So we can toggle those at the direction and tell it which way to go. So this way, with the merge result in place, this is going to become one solid body. They're going to be connected and be treated as a single mass. If I tell it to go this way, the merge result is going to generate a zero thickness edge, and it cannot resolve zero thicknesses, so this will become one body, this will become a second body. All right, so just be careful if you see those warnings pop up. You want to make sure that you have told it to extrude. And if you're looking at it straight on, it may not be apparent it's extruding the opposite way. So just be be ready to rotate or go to Control 7. Oh, I said I was going to turn the cube on. If you like the cube, you can turn the cube on, and when you hit the space bar, you will get that thing and be able to rotate through the views. And I'm not as good at that as I am just hitting the control keys. All right, so they gave us a value or a volume value of 72. So let's go ahead and save this. I am going to I am saving these in the cloud because I work from multiple computers. So I've added my my drive to my standard Google Drive so that it shows up in File Explorer and automatically syncs. If you're interested, we can do that in one of the labs, or I will add a video. And the this is going to be, I'm going to abbreviate it, P1-1, and we're going to do a new folder, CSWA for 25. All right, we save that. All right, so that just makes sure that since I like working out without a net sometimes, just remember that if you hit the Control S on a regular basis, even when it pops up and says it hasn't been saved for 20 minutes, it's probably a good idea to hit the Control S, and if it's the first time it's saving, it will automatically go to the Save As. All right, so how do we get to our number? We go into Evaluate, and I'm interested in the mass properties. It throws it up on my other screen. And the volumes 73,553, they got 72,593. I have no idea why. So if your mass is 73.553 or 73,553 cubic millimeters, or the center of mass 24, 26, 12, 12.569, at least I'm off to a good start. That I have no idea why my volumes don't line up to theirs, but maybe one of these days somebody can explain it to me. But I don't think I'm making any serious mistakes. So let's drop that in one more time. And I lost it somewhere. Where did you go? Yeah, put it somewhere. Oh, I think it went there. Okay, so you do need to watch it. My screen size, because for the videos, this screen size does work really well. Occasionally I lose things at the outside. So, all right, so there's the numbers. We will finish up here on our first project and example, and we'll continue on with the next video.